Hi everyone, it's Amanda. How are you doing? Today is the 18th of July 2019 and I don't know whether this will actually go up online until the 19th. It depends on upload time because it's 4:45 already here, heading into the evening in the UK. But it's the first time within the last, 72 hours really, that I've actually felt able to sit down and deliver something for the collective. So thank you as always for your patience. But also there is always a divine timing in terms of messages. So what this is going to be, I'm not really sure what it's going to be, to be honest. I've just been told to sit here and deliver something. And the analogy is, and I've used this analogy many times, but not this part of the story, is we're back in the aeroplane. We have hit turbulence. I said we were going to be hitting turbulence in July. It's bumpy. We've got our seatbelts on. The trolleys are stowed away. The air hostesses are starting to look a little bit concerned, but we've got forced grins, forced grins that it's okay. And we're now entering a time where the captain of the plane comes on over the loudspeaker to reassure everybody that all is well. And that's effectively why I'm being asked to come on, to reassure the troops, is what Metatron is saying. Not to deliver false hope, but to help us to realise that whatever changes are going on around us, in the collective and in our personal lives, whatever is coming up for healing, which seems to be huge for a lot of people, we will get through it. And actually already on the radar, we can see the clearer patch of airspace coming up. But we're not quite yet there. And it's as though the pilot's hands are quite gripped tightly onto that steering wheel. And but with every expectation that the journey will carry on and be successful and we will get through. Personally, I have not experienced such a profound period of deep diving into the subconscious, into old wounding for many years. And it's not just triggered by what I was talking about in my last video in terms of astral interference and the healing that I had there. I'm through the other side of that now, and in time I will bring out a video, as I promised you, which will be looking at healing that for you as well, okay? What I didn't say in that last video is that a lot of what was taken out of me, it was my stuff, but there was also a degree of collective energy that I had also been holding. So part of my healing, and this goes for a lot of you when you have healing anyway, it's not just me, but part of the healing I talked about in the last video that I had was personal to me, but it was also partly collective as well. So it took me a few days to get my strength back from that. And then just a whole load of other stuff came in. So I'm absolutely there with you, and I'm just looking down at the cards that I've got out. I've got 3 decks of cards I'm going to use in this reading, and the card of patience is on the top of the deck of two separate oracles. So we've got patience, and then I'm realizing in between we've got the card of strength. So we are being asked to be patient. Let me just show you this card actually, which is, as I say, it's on the top of the deck that I'm using. These are the Grace cards by Cheryl Richardson. I'll put the links below. But here we see a lady and she's being asked to be patient. There is a ship out here on the horizon that she can see but isn't yet near enough for her to be able to call and be heard. And on the back of the card it says, trust in divine timing. Your future holds something far greater than your past. How profound is that? Your future holds something far greater than your past. And I was talking to a friend about this the other day, which was that so often we have expectations of what we want our future to be, and we can be quite controlling in terms of expecting spirit to then deliver that to us whatever it is we've imagined on a plate. And for us, that is the best case scenario. But Spirit always has a higher vision of what we are able to achieve, what we're able to do, and also what we're able to heal. I do want to say a proviso though with regard to what we're able to heal. And this might be a controversial thing to say for somebody like myself who's a teacher and a healer, because I believe that pretty much anything can be healed. But what I personally have been running up against recently, I've actually been challenged on a lot of my beliefs about quite a lot of things recently. Not about Metatron, not about angels, not about colour, not about the main principles which I teach. It's more been in terms of healing, which is good, because when you start to question things, what that does is then it creates a space to let go of some outmoded beliefs and bring in some new thinking. And maybe it's also linked into just the times that we're in, which seems to be about having to surrender and accept. And I've actually come to a place of acceptance and surrender and acceptance, actually, with regard to something which actually feels in this lifetime, I sort of know it's not going to be healed. And it is parental in nature. It's not the story that I might have talked about in previous videos. It's completely and utterly unrelated to anything that I've ever said before. And it's too personal. I can't go into what it is. But with this eclipse energy, it brought up that wound again. And okay, what Metatron's giving me is the analogy of something that's caused pain. And he's actually showing me almost like an amputation. Okay, it's a bit graphic, okay? So imagine as though, this is all symbolic, but imagine you've had an amputation and you can heal from that amputation. You can acquire, you know, a prosthetic leg. The wound itself obviously needs to heal. You can learn to move on the prosthetic. You can maybe have a wheelchair if that's what you need. But yet the half leg that has been taken off will always be gone. And that's what I'm really meaning, that there are some things that, and this isn't just about grief and loss, I really feel it's a much wider subject than that. There are some things that we've been trying maybe decades and decades to work through with a scenario in our head in terms of what it will look like when that thing is healed. And it's almost like the happy ever after, you know? And for me, actually, part of the peace with this eclipse came from realizing that there may not be a happy ever after with this particular story, and that that's sort of okay. Because in the grander scheme of the universe and eternity, it will balance itself out somehow, some way. And if you've done absolutely all you can do, and only you know whether that's the truth, you've given as much as you possibly can, you've truly looked at the lessons that it's brought to you. Doesn't mean there might not still be some other layers of discovery and self-growth, but it might well be that that leg that's taken away, to give the analogy, it can't ever come back. Some things are broken, some bridges are irretrievably burned. And I think as increasingly mature, fifth dimensional, spiritual people, we need to be able to question some of these things that are out there, which is almost like, I almost feel like it's kindergarten stuff, which is like a sweeping blanket, an assumption that everything, whatever it is, can be made better. Well, it can be made better, but it can't be brought back to the same place that it was before. So that's a message for some of you. Okay. I think it will resonate with a few people. Again, I'm sorry to be so cryptic, but I share a lot about my life online, here and on Facebook. I think I'm quite generous with that. But there are some things I just can't go into. And that story was one. And there's also another thing I can't go into in great depth, but I do want to allude to it, which is that the eclipse energy was about letting go of the old, welcoming in the new, death and rebirth. And again, I think there's been something in spiritual circles, and maybe I've been guilty of it in the past as well, of just wanting to talk about the rebirth, you know? The rebirth is where it's all at. And it's almost, I think I did say this, it's almost as though we're wanting to skip over the death part. But the death part has to be faced. And so where I found myself yesterday, literally a few hours after the eclipse had occurred, was with a friend whose husband had died. And I was sitting with her beside his body. And you can't get much closer to death than that, to be right beside it. And it was obviously for them deeply tragic. Please send their prayers to them. I've asked for that already on my Facebook page. It goes without saying, and holding them in light for the readjustment, huge readjustment and healing that now needs to take place in their life. But for me as a spiritual teacher, I was the one that was called to be by this person's side, one of the people. And I thought, okay, here it is. You know, here it is. Here is death. Look at it. You know, look at that. Look at what it looks like. See the devastation, see the loss, see the pain, feel into it. Don't shy away from it. And as I approached the house where this person was laying, there were only two of us with this friend, and the other lady came out. She said, "You might not want to go in because, you know, what you might see." And it was almost as though there was something there in terms of, no, you have to see it. And it's not the first time I've seen somebody dead. I've seen that before, but it was just the timing of all this. And, you know, it's very sobering. It's very sobering, and it makes you question, and it rightfully should make you question. And so, again, that analogy that Metatron gave to all of us about the baby being born, okay? And it's as though the baby is being born but yet hasn't yet taken its first breath. Feel into that period of fear and vulnerability and fear and vulnerability. Those are the two main emotions before the cry, you know, the cry of life, which always comes back. There's always the cycle of death and rebirth. So sorry to get so deep so early on in this video, but I think it's where we're all at. And I know from quite a lot of you that there've been some tears the last few days, and questioning and feeling into what it is to be human and what it is that we want from our life, which is valuable, is truly valuable. You know, when you see a life taken away very quickly, very suddenly, it brings into sharp focus your own and what you're going to do with it and how you're going to spend it, and that everything matters. And, well, actually, no, I'm going to rephrase that. Everything doesn't matter. It's actually some of the stuff that we worry about is so irrelevant. It's so irrelevant. But yet the things that matter are about human contact and relationships and how we behave and our legacy that we leave. And one of my teachers always used to use the phrase, and I've said this before in other videos, we're all just walking each other home. And that's what I'm really feeling at the moment. We're all just walking each other home. So can we do so as gently as possible, as gracefully as possible, with compassion, with grace, with fifth dimensional heart consciousness, but also walking each other home realizing that some of those steps are really hard, and it's okay to face them, and it's much easier to face them when you do so together. So on that note, let's pull some cards and see where we're at. Where are we at? I hope you're doing well. I send you all a big hug. It's like it's hug time. I found the animal kingdom very comforting through the last week or so in particular. I mean, I love animals, but I'm not somebody that, I wouldn't class myself as an out and out animal lover, you know? I'm more of a people person. But I've so appreciated, you know, my doggy in my house the last few days, and the amazing healing that is coming from her, and the wisdom, and just really opening up more to animals. As I say, it's not that I don't love animals, it's just that some people really, really, really love animals. And I've always been more of a people person, but it's like the animal kingdom are really speaking. So we've got white light, purity and innocence as the card that's come up. White light, purity and innocence. Shows a diamond on it. And the diamond is interesting because everybody just looks at the finished diamond and they marvel at the complexity of the carving and how the light shines off it, and the rainbows that you can maybe see within it, and the shape of it and the size of it. But yet, of course, the diamond itself has another aspect to it, which is that it has to be polished, it has to be honed, it has to be mined. There's a whole thing about, is it ethically mined? We won't get into that in this video. But it's almost as though for the diamond to shine so brightly, there is hard work to get to that place. And we are being asked to shine very brightly at this moment. But I think there's also an acknowledgement from Spirit that it is quite hard to maintain what this card talks about. This is from the Metatron deck, which is to do with purity and innocence. And I think a lot of us are feeling as though, where is that? Where is the purity? Where is the innocence? The world at the moment feels very hostile and not helped by leaders who are whipping up hate. And in that climate of intolerance and division through speech and mannerisms, I think we're actually looking, I actually feel as though we're looking to, I want to bring the animals back, we're looking to other sources to retrieve that innate innocent state. And you see it in animals, and you also see it in children. And I'm not saying you don't see it in grown-ups, but at the moment there's a lot of fog around, let's put it that way, which is preventing us from being able to show that side of ourself as well. Maybe we've got so much armour on, it's almost as though, where's the heart inside? And it is necessary to have that armour on. It's a bit like being in the plane, you've got to have your belt on at the moment. There's no alternative, you've got to do it. But it's, again, the analogy of the plane. If you were on a really, really bumpy plane and turbulent, the grown-up adult would often be, oh my God, are we going to crash? Is it okay? Is the pilot all right? The child, not all children, but some children would be like, wow. And do you know, the first time I ever took, I think one of my children, I can't remember which one it was, we took her up in a plane. And I've always hated takeoff and landing. And anyway, we took off, and it was quite a steep upward, you know, curve. And I was like gripping the seats, hate taking off. So I was gripping the seats and thinking, oh God, trying not to show my fear to her, didn't want to pass it on. And then she just, at the top of her voice, she went, whoopee! You know, it was just like, wow, isn't this fun? And how wonderful is that? That's almost like the energy we need to be tapping into. So kids, animals, return to purity, return to innocence. A Return to Innocence, wonderful song by Enigma. That came in end of last year, that song. I played it over and over and over on a loop. And I'm feeling we need a bit more of that these days as well. Okay, let's pull... I've been drawn to use the Energy Oracle cards by Sandra and Taylor. I like her decks very much. Can you hear the baby crying? It's just a little baby crying. Not mine. Family and the security of family, if you've got a good one, pull them around you at the moment. It's as though that love and nurturing and companionship, which can happen in a good family, I know not everybody has that, is very needed at this time. And if you know people that haven't got that, maybe there's somebody in your street that doesn't have anybody, check in on them. You know, we're all part of one human race at the end of the day. One of my, you know, I've done a lot of videos on YouTube, and one of the videos I did, 6-8 months ago, it was actually, the title something like, it's about mass immigration, but it was the first one where I think I started to talk about unity consciousness. And you know, another strange thing that happened a few days ago, I was lying up in my loft. It was one of the days where I was just totally floored by the energy. And I was lying upstairs actually having 40 winks in the afternoon. I just literally couldn't cope. It was just, well, I could cope, I just needed to go to sleep. And I came to, and there was the school up the road were having some sort of celebration event, and they had music playing. It wasn't sports day this time, it was something else. And then all of a sudden the headmaster's voice came on, you know, loudspeaker, and I could hear it in my bedroom as I was lying in bed. And he was talking about the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. And I don't know the exact, I can't say it word for word, but he was referencing one of the astronauts who, when they're quoted as saying, when they looked down on Earth from above, from the spaceship, what they saw was not countries, what they saw was not races, what they saw was not religions or nationalities or any of that. They just saw one Earth, and they realized in that instant that we are just all members of the human race, basically, and we all just happen to be members of planet Earth. And this headmaster was recalling this story to the children, and I could hear the kids, they were applauding and all this type of stuff. And then he went one step further, and this is even more extraordinary because this school is a Catholic school up the road. And to be honest, it was a school we looked at, and I was put off because it was a little bit too full on for me in terms of its religious doctrine, let's put it that way. It wasn't as fluid as I needed it to be for my own personal way that I want my children brought up. Anyway, so this very quite strict Catholic school headmaster, he then starts talking about, and wouldn't the world be great if we could let go of, he didn't quite say let go of religion, but he was bringing in all of the different faiths and how important it is to be tolerant, and how special everybody is. And it was so beautiful. I can't tell you how beautiful it was to hear the words just rippling in my room at the same time as sunshine was coming into my room, and then hearing the kids applauding. And it was just like, yeah, we're finally starting to get it. But it's as though they're small seeds at the moment, and many of us are feeling very vulnerable because when we look out there at the news, we look at people in the news who are actually not saying things like that. They're saying actually the complete opposite. It's very hard to believe that these seeds are going to turn into something that one day in the future will lead to more of a unity consciousness energy. So, yeah. Right, let's have 5 cards here, please, from the Oracle deck. The Energy Oracle deck, Sandra and Taylor. These have been sitting in my room all week and I just knew I needed to do something with them. So let's see what message they have for us. The first message relates to the second chakra, which is our sacral chakra. So it's showing the sacral chakra for some reason. Adjacent possibilities and the card of envy. Two more cards. The sixth chakra, which is the third eye. So we've got two chakras here showing. And the angel of love. Okay. Bottom of the deck, we've got a card which is all tied up. Okay, all tied up. See whether that is relevant or not, I'm not quite sure. So we've got two chakras that are showing, the sacral chakra and the third eye chakra. I've got healing sprays linked to both of those. The sacral chakra is the purple plum spray, and the third eye spray is the Tanzanite, okay? So if you know that you have an imbalance within either of those two chakras, those are the ones to get. And for some reason they are showing right now as being probably needing balancing, okay? So the intention of this video is to help do that as well. Let's go to the sacral chakra first. Card number 36, okay, 36. 3 and 6 make 9. 36 is also linked into the gateway energy. And if you think about the sacral area of the body is where our reproductive organs are, you know, it's where the womb is within, for a woman as an example. Where is the baby held? The baby's held within the womb. The baby is symptomatic of the new life that we're trying to birth. And I think the fact that the sacral and the third eye are going together, it's almost as though we can't fully see what it is that we are actually trying to birth in our own lives at the moment. Metatron's having a laugh. He's saying it's almost like, you know, you give birth expecting whatever, and it's like, actually, it's twins. Or, you know, I had it with both my girls. I was convinced I was having boys with both of them, particularly the second one. I had the name and everything, and they said it's a girl, and it was like, are you sure? You know, are you sure? Do you want to just go back and check? Are you sure it's a girl? Not because I was disappointed at all, just because I was so convinced they were boys. So there just seems to be a lack of vision in terms of what is it that we are wanting to birth at this moment. And you know, more than anything, I don't think we should beat ourselves up about it, because actually the card of patience is saying, maybe you're not meant to know yet. I don't think we're meant to know. You know, it's, remember what I said right at the start of this video, the baby is literally, it's being slapped on its bottom. We're waiting for the cry. We're in that interim, we're in that period of expectation. In that period of expectation, you don't know what's in the box that you're unwrapping. You really don't. So what we actually have to do is to trust the process. We have to trust the process. We have to have patience. Now this is interesting. There's a card of envy here. Now, there may very well be a different meaning for this card based on what Sandra's written in her book. But for me, the way that I always interpret this card is that if you see it, the lady is standing in front of a gateway. Through the gateway, it looks very golden, it looks very beautiful, the sun is shining. It's a place where you would want to walk into. But for some reason, the woman in the gateway is sort of shrouded in grey. She's sort of blocking the gateway. Is she about to walk through it? It's not entirely clear. I've always interpreted this more that others are envious of not so much the path that we're taking, although I sort of want to say of our understanding. If you think of where we are now, I mean, God, over the last week in particular, time and time again, I kept getting shown the image of the collective that is out there. stumbling around in the dark, you know, literally trying to find a foothold, trying to find something to hang on to. You know, on the moving train when it's like it's packed and you're just trying to find one of those straps to hang on to. It's like, what, you know, but you can't. That's it's stumbling around, not understanding what is going on in their personal lives, but also in the collective. And I think there is this sort of unacknowledged energy in terms of looking at other people, maybe like us. Not that we've got all the answers, because we haven't, but it's almost like, why is this not bothering you? Why is this not triggering you? Why are you able to be detached about this? When actually for me, you know, I'm all over the place. I notice that a lot. You know, there are things that other people seem to get very triggered about that for me, I'm not saying I don't get triggered, everyone gets triggered, but you know, the big things are becoming less and less, they don't bother me so much. In terms of things that are going on around me that are triggering other people. And some of these can be big topics of the day as well. It's to do with detachment. So there seems to be something about, you know, you're in this sort of golden place. It's like, what are you doing there? And why are you not acting in the way that we are? And, you know, how can you hold that vibration? I had this conversation with somebody actually very recently. It was literally that, you know, why are you not reacting? Something like that. Why are you not reacting? Why are you not angry about it? Why are you not cross about it? And I actually had to come back and say, I'm trying to practice what I preach. I'm genuinely feeling okay about this. You know, I can see the higher perspective. I believe in what was, you know, so-and-so. I see the long-term picture. I'm not going to go into lowest common denominator thinking. I'm not going to see worst case scenario. I'm choosing to be in 5D basically. Although that language wouldn't have been understood anyway, but that is what it was. So look again at that card. It's like, well, what are you doing? What is that place? Why can't I get there? Well, anybody can get there, but actually there's a bit of work to do on yourself to be able to reach some of these more, I don't want to say heightened states, I just want to say altered states of consciousness. We have the card of adjacent possibilities. Okay, no, I put funny. Yeah, okay, that's obviously what I was meant to do. There's a card here, adjacent possibilities. I thought I was picking that up, but I actually picked that up, the card of envy. Adjacent possibilities. What do you want to stay in? Do you want to stay in a place of fear and shadow and lower energy? Or do you wish to step into the light? Realise that if you step into the light, not everybody's going to go on that journey with you. And a lot of people are not going to understand it, and that's okay. And indeed, it will bring up envy. I've noticed myself, and I said this to some friends last week, that it's almost as though the higher you climb, the lonelier it can be, the more other people will try to derail you, pull you down. It's this. It's envy, it's jealousy, I don't understand, you know, why is it so easy for you? It's not easy for any of us. We're all working very hard to be in this more golden state. Right, the card of adjacent possibilities. I just think that is just literally, this is where we're at. Can you see it? Sorry, there's a lot of reflection on this card. It basically shows a corridor, okay? It's a long corridor, and on the corridor are all these different doors that you could potentially go down, including a trap door there. Although, again, that's just perception. Some people could see that as a trap door on the floor. Oh God, don't fall down it. Other people go, oh my God, there's a cellar down there. How wonderful. Let's go and explore that. Lots of different doors, lots of different possibilities. The point is, you haven't actually gone into any of them yet. You're still in the corridor, okay? And actually what I'm also feeling with that corridor is some of the doorways, you can't even see them yet, okay? There's more and more light coming into that corridor, revealing more and more doors. So again, don't put all your eggs into one basket. You know, don't jump into the first doorway that you see. Don't just jump into the first opportunity that you see. This is a time of assessing and reflecting on what your options are, what your opportunities are, and having patience. Okay? And then crowning all of that, we have the angel of love. Okay, so there's just the angel of love watching over all of this process, reminding us that the more that we stay in love, the more that we stay within our heart space, the easier all of this is going to be. And if we don't stay in our heart and we don't act from love and feel love and be love and try and speak love, what that does is it ties us up. Okay, it ties us up into knots so that we cannot move forward. Okay, so the answer is love and love again. And I want to say, being childlike in terms of our purity, in terms of our innocence. Let's pull one more card here from the Cheryl Richardson deck, the Grace cards, because they tend just to talk about maybe one quality. And I do think it's almost like a back to basics type energy in some respects, because some of these old wounds that are coming up right now, we're really having to go back and look. So let's just have a look. What supportive energy or what quality is it you want us to talk about here, Metatron? That one, support. Yeah, okay, support. Support is what it says it is. It's being there for each other. It's what I said at the start of this video. It's we're all walking each other home. Are you going to be the one that helps carry somebody else home? Or are you going to be the person that walks past because you want to get there first, you know, or do it better than somebody else? Support is needed at this time. It says expect help. I mean, that's interesting in itself, isn't it? Expect help. How often do we walk around thinking, oh, well, I've asked, but I'm not really expecting any support. I'm not really expecting anybody to step in and help me. Yeah, you have to ask, but you also have to expect that it is there when you need it. And it says, a divine power more magnificent than anything else that exists on the planet is ready to support our every move. So, massive support that is out there for us. That feels very sort of Archangel Gabriel to me. It feels a very sort of Gabriel type energy. And interesting that I mentioned Gabriel, because Gabriel also is a archangel who is linked into the Sacral Chakra. So let's just spray the Archangel Gabriel spray actually, okay? It's also, of course it is, it's a beautiful pearly white colour, okay? So it ties in with that, that energy. So let's just spray the Archangel Gabriel. Let's see what we get. Yeah, because Gabriel's saying her role is very much to help. Yes, she comes in and she can forewarn of things that are to happen. It doesn't have to be bad things, you know. We've got the story of Mary and Jesus. But part of Gabriel's role is not just to tell us of future things that are to happen. They are to reassure us that all will be well, okay? It's like there is this that may happen, but all will be well. You will be given the strength, you will be given the support to be able to fulfill your mission, do whatever you're required to do, answer the call basically. So I'm feeling that, you know, Gabriel is wanting to remind us that yes, she's the messenger angel, but she's also the messenger of hope is what she's saying. I'm the messenger of hope. And to believe in that as well. Let's just see if there's anything else, Gabriel. Let's just bring her in. Let's bring her energy in to the sacral chakra within the body, whether you are male, whether you are female. So we're just allowing in a beautiful white pearly energy, Archangel Gabriel, and it's just flowing down into the sacral area of the body where it finds its home. And we're bringing in the energy of purity, and we're bringing in the energy of innocence, and we're bringing in vulnerability with Gabriel's assurance that it's okay to feel vulnerable, it's okay to stand up for innocence, it's okay to demonstrate purity in a world which sometimes feels as though nobody is listening. She says they are, but it has to be demonstrated and it has to be felt. And it starts by rooting itself within you, within your sacral area of the body, bringing this beautiful pearly white energy of Gabriel, of hope, of love, of gentleness, of compassion, of grace, of honour, of beauty. Of peace. And as all of those qualities seed within you and grow within the sacral area of the body, we can then ripple that out into a world and your lives that need it. Let's pull, I don't want to make this video too long, so I want to get it up online. Let's just pull one more card from the Archangel Metatron deck. Out any day now. I did actually hear from somebody who has ordered it via the Schiffer publisher site, that it might even be dropping through people's doors today, but you know, I haven't heard confirmation of that yet. Somebody had notice from them that it was on its way, so when they arrive, let me know. Send me a photo of you with your decks, it'd be great. Anyway, what other message is there here, Metatron, please, for today? As captain of the ship, anything else that us as passengers need to hear at this time? Ooh, okay, yeah, right. Well, he's saying it's wake-up call time. That's interesting cards. Look at that. That's the wake-up call card from the deck. And it shows Archangel Metatron sounding a clarion call to all of the light workers of the world to stand up, to listen, and to take note. This is also a nod to the fact that many people right now are experiencing wake-up calls in their life. Not necessarily people that are watching this video, or it might well be. I'm talking about people who are being woken up to the spiritual life, woken up to ascension, for want of a better word, who are ready to hear because of sometimes life-changing events that may occur that can be very difficult, but which in hindsight, looking back months, years later, was the moment when everything changed and they got onto a new path. And I think we're being shown that because for many people watching this who are already in some sort of therapeutic work, healing work, teaching work, don't have to be. It's not about having to do that. We all shine our light in different ways, but it's about walking other people, it's about walking each other home. So for us, we're finding it difficult, but yet we are understanding why things are happening, why structures are crumbling in our own lives and in the collective. As I said earlier, how much more difficult must it be to somebody who is unawake? Well, they're getting the wake-up call here. So this is a massive wake-up call coming. I feel like it's already here, but I also, I'm sensing and I'm hearing Metatron blowing into that conch shell, which is the call. And I'm hearing the call getting louder and louder and louder in the coming days, weeks and months to come. So there are going to be events that rock our world. I've talked about this in other videos, but also at a personal level as well. But I'm feeling I'm seeing like a big wave of people that are about to wake up. Okay, so those of us that have already been on this path a while, we are going to be required to step up and help, basically, and help. Is there anything else that goes with that card, Wake Up Call? Maybe I should just read the message. Should I just read the message? I think that's what I'm supposed to do. So it's card number 11, Wake Up Call. So card number 11 links to the planet Pluto and rebirth. It also relates to the coded 1111 Wake Up Call, programmed to make us sit up and take notice of spirit. It says it's time to step into the deepest truth and the deepest trust and heed the clarion call of the mighty Archangel Metatron. This call cannot be drowned out by fear or denial of that which is before you now. It is time to step into the deepest trust and heed this wake-up call, which may be spiritual in nature or affecting something very physical around you now. You have been aware for some time that something needed to change, something is coming, or that a situation can no longer carry on. Your inner voice may have whispered, but Metatron now shouts the warning message loudly for you to hear. You may experience ringing in your ears, popping of energy, or an unblocking of one or both ears as you hear Metatron call you. You may also see numbers, particularly 1111, which are prompting you to see things in a new way, but also to let you know that Metatron is with you. He does so with love and with urgency, and as a warning that to carry on regardless, not heeding the advice and the guidance, carries consequences. And if this calling is ignored, your path will no longer be in alignment with your soul's true calling. This call may be set against a backdrop of challenge. You may feel the lightning strikes around you, wondering how long you can stay out in the storm without getting more wounded than you already are. You have wounds that are raw from having stayed too long, tried too much, and reached a dead end. It is time for a different approach. There is nowhere to go now except into surrender. Archangel Metatron comes not to bring chaos or pain into your world, but to correct imbalance, bring you back to yourself, and open new doors where old ones have closed. You can ignore the call, carry on as before, but he will come back, and each time the call for change will be louder and still more insistent. Metatron never gives up on you, never abandons you, and always has your best interest at heart, as well as everyone else's concerned in any event, situation, or relationship. The wake-up call signifies that one way of doing life is now over. You need to prepare for the new, and it will be done for the highest good of you and everyone else. What seems difficult and at times impossible will be made easier for you. There is still a short time to prepare, to evaluate, to gather your strength, but the winds of change are here and time is running out. Metatron reaches out his arms to help carry you with grace to the next stage of your journey. As the call by you is heeded, the skies lighten, the golden rays come back to you, and the light pierces the darkness to reveal a new vision, a new life, a new possibility. Wake-up calls can be both individual, affecting our own day-to-day life, and they can be collective, entwined with raising global consciousness. I think it applies to both areas. I think it's both personal and collective. And those words that I've just read, which were channeled words that came from Metatron, I remember actually writing them a couple of years ago. If they've resonated and they've hit you, then it's for you, okay? Other people may very well have already had their wake-up call. But, you know, please remember the whole purpose of me coming on today was Metatron said it's time for the captain to come out the cabin and reassure everybody that everything is okay. You know, despite wake-up calls going on collectively and personally, despite the turbulence, the captain knows what he's doing. The captain's Metatron. The captain knows how to steer us to clearer air ahead. Okay. Yeah, and I'm just going to take this card as well because actually it's just staring at me. The card of imagination. Okay, the card of imagination. There seems to be just a theme coming through here, which is that whatever is in front of us, it's beyond our wildest imaginings. I'm talking here good stuff, by the way, guys. The end goal where we are being led to through this period of confusion and difficulty and pain, let's be honest, is worth it, because this is the destination. Okay, look at this beautiful card, the card of imagination. This is some like amazing sort of, I don't know, it's almost like a vision, doesn't it? It looks like a vision that's just risen up from all the beautiful pink clouds. And it's like, is that real? Is that a mirage? Is that real? Am I imagining that? It's like we've all been out in the desert, you know, that's what it feels like. We've all been out in the desert, we're all parched, we're all sunburnt. We're all needing water. We're all looking for the oasis, and it's like we're seeing this on the horizon. It's like, is that real? You know, and around us, everyone else is knocking us, saying, of course it's not. You know, what are you on about? You know, look at the state of the world. Read the newspapers. Listen to whatever's being said. You know, ascension isn't happening. Ascension is happening, but you have to keep your eye on this, which is appearing. For those with eyes to see is what I'm hearing. For those with eyes to see, for those with hearts to feel, for those with ears to hear, the journey will be as smooth as we can make it. But around you, there are going to be many other people on the flight that are in panic and terror. And our job as light workers is to hold the peace. And I got that message today also, you know, take it away from the collective now, in terms of I mentioned our families and our homes, that there needs to be that anchor point, there needs to be that place of security and peace and steadiness. And you can be that, but it means really doing some work. And what I mean by that is not anything that's terribly complicated. I just mean doing the work. So for me, for example, this morning I woke up and I was feeling agitated. Well, I wasn't feeling agitated. Well, a bit agitated, but it was more just wounding that was coming. I was actually feeling just very flat and a bit down, but it was all linked into this person's death and, you know, the shock of seeing all that yesterday. And, you know, it's like it takes the wind out of your sails. It's really like, whoa, you know, being... it is like being winded. It's like it really stops you in your tracks when things like that happen. And straight away I thought, okay, right, just go and do a bit of meditation. Even if it was like for 5 minutes, doesn't matter how long it is, whether it's using crystals, whether it's meditating, whether it's using sprays, whether it's doing affirmations, whether it's doing some self-healing, whether it's getting out in nature, whether it's sitting in moonlight, whether it's whatever it is, you know. And again, back to basics. The thing that was within me that I know isn't necessarily going to be 100% healed in this lifetime, the leg effectively that's been chopped off, fortunately symbolic, get it out of the body. And by that, what I mean is the emotions. Write the letter that needs to be written to the person that needs to hear it. Don't then post it, okay? Well, for me anyway, it's about get it out, say what needs to be said, whether it's to a friend, whether it's writing it down, and then burn the paper, you know, throw it out to water, dispose of it responsibly, obviously. But, you know, these are belt and braces type tools and techniques, but they're needed now, okay? So, there we go. That was the message. And let's just end with a spray. Let's end with a spray. And let's end with the Tanzanite spray, shall we? The third eye spray, okay. Okay. So just feel into the third eye. And straight away, as I'm feeling into the third eye, it's like a tight band. It's tight. So if you're feeling what I'm feeling, third eye, inner vision, ability to see higher, wider, to believe in this. If you're feeling it tight, just allow that Tanzanite energy just to flow in and to balance. Tanzanite is a beautiful vibration because it includes the energy of violet, which is about balance. Bringing it back into balance, bringing it back into peace, helping this part of the body, telling it that it's safe to see, it's safe to go beyond. Let Metatron take you beyond. It's one of the parts of Metatron's name. Meta means to go beyond. Let him help you see beyond where everybody else can. All is well. The pilot knows what he's doing. Much love, everyone. I hope that helped. I'll do a live as soon as I'm up to it. And I'll also do the healing video with the astral interference. But again, my energy's got to be absolutely up there to be able to do that. But it will be done in divine timing, okay? So you don't need to worry that, you know, it hasn't been done yet or it needs to be done tomorrow. All these things happen in divine timing. Okay, much love. 20 to 6. Must be about an hour. All my videos seem to be about an hour. I don't mean them to be, but they just seem to do that. Oh, it's tired. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm going to say goodbye. Lots of love, everyone. Yeah, get some rest as well. It's okay to be tired, actually. The energies are intense, but the pilot knows where he's going. Much love. Bye.